Hey everybody, Michael South here with Total Krav Maga. Some of you may know me from the DVDs that we've done in the past and the live streaming that we've done. I wanted to take this opportunity today to introduce the newest Krav Maga instructor for the Global Martial Arts University. This is Dustin Koppel. Dustin, welcome today. It's good to have you here. Yeah. So tell us, what initially got you into Krav Maga, just in the first place?
Yeah. When I was in high school, I always loved martial arts. Did as a kid, loved Ninja Turtles, one of my favorite things growing up. Who doesn't like it? But
Absolutely.
I got a unique opportunity. Had a friend whose parents actually owned a martial arts studio in California, and they invited me to the classes. Got to do them, and I just fell in love with it. You could say there was a long period of time where I wasn't training active in sports throughout that, like in high school, and I got back into it, and I fell back in love with it, and I was blessed enough to. They gave me a job opportunity working the front desk and working my way up, assistant instructor for kids, and just got an awesome experience in training with them.
Very cool, very cool. So obviously you're a major Krav Maga instructor, but you have a lot more going on than that. You're an active competitor in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, as well as a purple belt, an active kickboxing competitor. You've got a lot of stuff going on. So how would you say that additional experience, in addition to Krav Maga, has changed the way you sort of view the principles and you teach it to your students?
I love competing. It gives me that challenge every single day to just push myself and better myself, and I always want to just continue learning, and the beauty of it is when I got to experience jiu-jitsu, it really opened my eyes, because it was like, I did Krav Maga for about a year and a half before I got involved with jiu-jitsu, and I was rolling with a purple belt for the very first time, and I got destroyed, and I was like, wow, I thought I could handle myself, but then when I had to deal with somebody in jiu-jitsu, I was like, I need to learn this.
A whole different ballgame.
It is, but now we get to do that since we're a little bit higher levels up and kind of have some fun with it. But at the same time, the school that I was at, we did Krav Maga and we did kickboxing. So I got to start off with those two, a unique blend of American kickboxing with some Muay Thai in there. And over the years, just adapting it, it's like you were saying, the principles of, wow, you learn different things to where, yes, a lot of Krav Maga organizations have holes in what they're teaching.
Sure.
A lot of those people are like, oh, never go to the ground, never go to the ground. Well, stuff goes to the ground. You need to know what you're doing. You need to practice this, because you never know what you're going to experience. And just over the years of training, I've learned that people know how to handle themselves on the ground. You don't know who you're going to encounter on the street. So that's what the unique blend, that's one of the major things, is focusing a lot more. But not everything that we use in jiu-jitsu, and you could agree with me, and wrapping gis around people's necks, you're not going to do that in the street, but you're going to take some of those major principles and apply them and adapt and do different drills and drill that. To whereas a lot of Krav Maga organizations, they do very, very little, to whereas one of the things is we focus a little bit more on that. And then same with stand-up fighting. That's a huge part of it too. And I've worked with a lot of Krav Maga instructors to where if they got into an actual fight and it wasn't a self-defense situation, they probably wouldn't handle themselves. And that's another thing that we really want to focus on is mixing in the kickboxing side of the fighting aspect, working on the ground, plus the self-defense and the aggression and intensity behind it. So just a unique blend of incorporating those three things, takes the original Krav Maga and brings it up here in a whole nother level.
That actually brings up an interesting point, because I've heard that several times, and I'd love to get your perspective on it. We hear about fighting, the term fighting, and then we hear about self-defense, and you just brought that up, and what, based on the background and the training of some people, they might do really well in a self-defense situation, but maybe not so well in a fighting situation, and then vice versa. Maybe a really accomplished UFC fighter, something like that, really good at fighting but not so good at self-defense. Can you kind of elaborate on the differences between those?
Yeah, absolutely. If you look at it from, and I like to look at it this way, from a female perspective, majority of the time it's going to be a self-defense situation for them. A male attacking them, grabbing them, trying to take them somewhere. But us males, sometimes that's the case to where somebody may try to kidnap a male, but majority of the time for us guys, it's a fist fight. You never know. Maybe you upset somebody in traffic, or there's a drunk somewhere and they're just not ready to fight. So with that, it's very, very important to train the fighting, but at the same time it's self-defense, because when you put the two together, if you think about it, how many times do you see a headlock in a fight? So that's where if I'm in a fight and I'm getting put in that headlock, I'm able to react and fall back on my Krav training. So it's that unique blend of combining both worlds at the same time in your training.
Okay, yeah, that makes perfect sense. So to elaborate a little bit more on just some different perspectives on training any kind of martial arts, but also specifically Krav Maga, as we are Krav instructors, I was curious, what do you think about online training versus training at an actual physical brick and mortar facility? What are the benefits of the two and any cons and that kind of thing?
Yeah, no, that's a great question. And with jiu-jitsu online, there's been people that absolutely love it. There's people that there's a lot of negativity behind it. And yeah, there's positives and negatives behind it. Like you said, if I had the option of having a Krav school that's right down the street from me and training online, I would honestly do both. If you go to your Krav school and you're training and your instructor's teaching you stuff, it's awesome. You're getting that personal experience. You're having somebody there who's certified, who knows what they're doing, that are going to correct you. But when you go home, sometimes you're like, oh man, what did we do again? And how do I get that correction? But when you have the online course, you get to look at like, oh wait, here's that. And it's just that refresher. And you're going to have, it's an awesome experience to have different instructors and look at different variations, because people will make great points about certain things. And everybody's going to have a different outlook on Krav Maga itself. But there's a lot of people at the same time that don't have the opportunity to go to a Krav Maga school. There's people that live, 50, 100 miles away from the nearest Krav Maga school. And what we're doing is we really want to bring Krav Maga to everybody. And, there's other people in countries that just, Krav Maga's not even there yet. So we get that opportunity to teach them. And we do our best to work online, to emails, to talk to them as much as we can and answer any questions that they have. And we're very, very active in talking with them. And, like you said, if I had an opportunity to go to the school, yeah, I would, because it's a great experience to work with multiple attackers, different body types. But at the same time, going online, push and play, practicing in my house, I get that extra work, and that's beneficial as well.
Right. So just to clarify, what you're saying is it not only, obviously, if you're in a country where Krav doesn't even exist, or you live 100 miles from the nearest, accredited facility, something is definitely better than nothing. I mean,
Absolutely.
as long as it's a quality program. But it can also be used as a supplement. So even if you are training at a school, I think we've all had that experience when the instructor's like, guys, be sure you're practicing at home.
Yeah.
And then you're like, you get home and you're like, okay,
what do I do?
What do I do? What do I practice? And so it's definitely great to have that reference. And you made a really good point. I think it's important to differentiate between just a DVD. You buy the DVD and watch it, and you sit there on the couch and you're like, okay, I guess that's how you defend a headlock. But then an actual home study course, and then actually live classes, where you can email your instructor and say, hey man, I didn't understand what you meant by that, and they get back with you, within 24, 48 hours, and you can actually communicate with other students on the forums and things like that. So I think it's definitely a big, important difference to make, is that, the difference between just a DVD, just a reference essentially, versus an actual interactive online training.
Yeah, and to add on to that, the beauty of it is, when you have multiple instructors getting together, so maybe you train at a school and you're doing the online course as well, and if you come to us and you're like, hey, I was shown this variation, but then we show maybe a slight modification to it, and it makes sense to you, that's the beauty of it. So we're just going to kind of intertwine. We don't want that ego. There's a lot of people out there, they're like, oh, this is the way, this is how you do it, and there's no other way.
Don't listen to anybody else, right?
Yeah, it's like, that's not what it's about. That's not what martial arts is training. That's not our goals. We don't want the ego in this training whatsoever. So yeah, people will have different outlooks, and I know me and you have different outlooks on different techniques as well, but we find that happy medium, and we both have different perspectives on things, and that's the beauty of having multiple instructors in training. So if they are training, great, and this is just another outlet, and you're going to learn. The more you learn, the better it is. Just in like BJJ, there's all sorts of variations, but then it's like some of it works for you, some of it doesn't. Same thing with Krav. Do the stuff that works for you. Do the stuff that's going to save your life.
Absolutely. We both had the opportunity to train with lots of different Krav Maga instructors as well as other instructors, so we've definitely, I know I always appreciate, I can, be like, oh God, he's teaching the same thing that the other guy taught last week. But then he says it just a little bit, or he just points out a different detail that didn't really click in your head before, and you're like, whoa. Yeah. And you have a much more well-rounded understanding of the same technique, because Krav Maga is almost so simple that you kind of overthink it in its simplicity, and then it becomes complicated. I definitely always appreciated having different people pointing out different aspects of the same move.
Yeah.
I just felt like I had a really deeper understanding of it.
Or you'll just hear that different analogy of what an instructor may say, and you're like, whoa, that makes total sense.
Good
That's
point.
it,
Yeah,
you know?
absolutely.
So-
Very cool. Well, that's a very good concept. Well, I certainly appreciate your time today, and hope everybody got the opportunity to know Dustin a little bit better, and you'll be seeing him a lot on our classes at the Global Martial Arts University. So have a great day.